against them. So that's made its way through. You can see that Crisp is not going to have his Renata, who's one of the very best players of that one. With the Udyr gone, potentially opens up a more uncontested matchup for something like the Cassante, which we've seen in a lot of games recently. It just has become the staple of the top lane. But this is the pick which Weibo always ban out. They don't like playing against the center. They don't play it themselves. Abel and Ppgod, they might just be able to snap this one up for free.
See, they have to drop away the center ban for an Udyr ban. They will pick that one up there. XiaoFang feeling confident and feeling good on the Viego. We're going to go for that for a third time. Now Weibo, you had the Cassante, and CDC didn't do poorly on it, but I do feel like you need to lock in your bot lane here now. You need to get yourself set up onto that bot lane. It looks like, well, I mean, Xiaohu can play the Tristana mid, so we might see that either side, but we'll see.
Well, speaking of the Tristana, it's actually an OMG special between Abel and Ppgod to do the Tristana Milio. It's a very strong bot lane, and if you lock in something tanky now alongside the center, and that Tristana does go bot lane, there's a real risk there. Of course, Chris picked up his first loss on the Milio in that last game, but that would have been absolutely fine here. The Rakan, he's only played a single game of, but he's 1-0 on that one. Flex pick at the Tristana. I think in this game, I think it's completely fine to consider a flex pick between mid and bot.
Absolutely. Now let's see what they want to go for from OMG. The Maokai Senna has been a combination we've seen quite a bit around the different leagues. We'll wait to see where they want to try and go with this one here. But the Rakan, good engage here for Weibo. So I quite like the Maokai, to be perfectly honest. I like the idea of, like, you know, throwing out the ultimate, making sure that no one can really follow in if the Rakan goes in solo.
It's a much more proactive pick than the Tahm Kench, because the Tahm Kench, while he does get very tanky when he's alongside the center, just doesn't have the same reliable go button that the Maokai does in the same way. Also has very strong laning presence, even right the way from level 1, because you can get brush saplings and you can just fight towards them as the center Maokai. It means that you're less likely to lose control of the wave very early on. So now, Light and Crisp, what are they going to lock in alongside that Rakan? Are you really going to put the Tristana in bot lane? I don't think you really want to into the Maokai now. I think that's a risky lane to go towards. OMG now going to target XiaoHao. The Shinzao not going to be picked up again, so it's not going to be as easy for him to contest the Viego as early into the game. You might have to look, if you're going to contest early, you might have to even look at something like, gosh, the Vi, I guess, is available, but even then, level 1, level 2, you really struggle on that. You need a full quadrant clear to then be able to impact the map. By the time that's happening at level 3, Center Maokai and Viego can already be causing issues on the map.
I think they keep putting in these bans as a top side. Honestly, you know, I was just about to say the Aatrox might be something to get off the table, just because you know that there's not a huge amount of picks left for the Cassante to have to deal with. But something like the Camille could be its own level of intensity now brought into that top side.
Looks like Invictus Gaming and You Should Know Me, YSKM, their top laner, have started to introduce and cross-pollinate this Camille across other teams in the LPL. Now, worth noting, folks, IG beat the undefeated BLG by picking this Camille against them and absolutely slaughtering the Cassante matchup. So that could potentially be a huge, huge problem for Weibo. Now you're going to have a Tristana that can't jump away from the Hextech Ultimatum, getting locked up into the Maokai. It is going to be the Vi locked in for XiaoHao. We said, look, that's kind of the last of the level 3 skirmishing junglers, which can really be locked in for XiaoHao now. But even then, there are potentials of level 1s now. Invades coming in from OMG. I think that OMG are walking away with a very happy draft here, even without the last pick being locked in. Xiaohu can pick up the Talir. He's a big player of that champion across his history, and it combos up well with the Vi, but it's another pick that Maokai and Camille can eat for breakfast.
Absolutely. You just keep diving in, and honestly, the Azir makes perfect sense here as well. You have a bit of a dive buddy if you want to go full engage onto someone with the Camille, and of course the Viego. You also would have the Emperor's Divide to kind of separate any serious kind of re-engage that can come out here from Weibo, but see what the last pick is. Of course, Angel known for many a pick over his very lengthy career.
So the TF was banned earlier in the series, and he has played it this week as well. Angel is a very historic player of this Twisted Fate. He used to play this all the time back in the day, locking it in again, and now you have such a deadly pick global combo from OMG. If Camille is even within half a map's range of someone as well, people forget how long range the hookshot flash ultimatum combo is. You can get from one side of a lane, from one quadrant of the map to the other very, very quickly. Weibo cannot afford to be as lackadaisical as they were in Game 2. And let's be honest, Xiaohu, even in Game 1, showed some openings there. I've got a lot of eyes on the mid lane, one of the greatest players in the LPL of all time, to just not die in this game. It is much easier said than done.
Yeah, a lot easier said than done, and better them than me as we come into our third and final game of our second series. Big moment here for both these sides, both sitting very close in the standings, very much looking to try and solidify themselves into those playoff numbers. We were talking a little bit off stream a little bit earlier on and saying who's going to come off, you know, who's going to be in playoffs, who's not going to be in playoffs. These are two teams that aren't exactly high flying. OMG are 10th, 3 and 4. Weibo are 8th, 4 and 2. This is a big moment for both these sides to maybe turn around, you know, the season a little bit on the halfway point.
Not always a milestone which means the most, but I think it is a great point to just start those conversations. Weibo, one of our teams which went to Worlds, more than that, went to Worlds Finals. They've had themselves a pretty good run of it at the start of the split, come away with a pretty good record up towards the upper echelons of the LPL, but OMG bringing them to the edge, and with a composition which I pretty much think is going to give them a lot of issues. OMG might be bringing out some of this organization's magic once more. You can change a load of the players, but it feels like that stays the same.
Ooh. Ooh.
There was XiaoHao there from about 3 people in the crowd. Didn't even finish off the whole bunch of them. But they came out for look, if I was in that crowd, I'd be screaming that. Because they had a fantastic game too. They snowballed away with it. And this kind of competition, this makes me happy, Oisin, because the way that I described OMG last year was OMG were your favorite coach's favorite team because they did things differently. Were they perfect at playing that style? Absolutely not. There's a reason that they didn't end up going towards Worlds or MSI or into, you know, the upper echelons of the LPL beyond potentially what they could have done. But they showed the rest of the league how to play different styles. Last year, it was about playing around the Sejuani with double melee solo laners, with the Rumble and the Maokai on the top side as well, the Yone. And when they pull out stuff like this and they bring out the TF and the Senna Maokai being able to follow up on top of the Camille as well, this is what I know this team for, and it's good return to that kind of magic and that innovation, which I love to see this team pick out.
It's what a lot of people fell in love with last year. It's the willingness to try something different, the willingness to go for bigger plays. And look, you could say that they were, you know, as you say, lightning in a bottle to have the players they had at the time. You think of Cream, who's now over on Top Esports. You think of Shanji over in NIP. These are, you know, fantastic players in their own right, and it does feel like this is an OMG that is still looking to figure out who they are as the new iteration, but still trying to keep that old flair, that old fire burning for them.
Now back into this bot lane. So the Tristana was picked up, the TB2. It's not going to be the E-start for the Maokai, looking to try and play towards the bushes and maybe try and burst out or like poke out Crispin Light. See that actually Ppgod started with a Q to try and stop a W engage coming through. They also didn't go towards the double Dorans. They went towards the support item right off the bat for Abel. So they're not really looking to fight. They're looking to be defensive. And that means that maybe they're looking to do something towards topside. Doesn't particularly help when Cube takes turret shots like that. It doesn't matter. He's going to get the crash either way.
Just kind of wait. Probably has the first time where we don't have a very kind of almost anti-snowball bot lane between both of these guys, where
yes.
Neither one's really going to be coming out like massively ahead, even though the Senna and Maokai will fall behind. That's just how that matchup goes. So curious to see how the game changes now that bot lane isn't going to be this massive, you know, kind of hole for you know, throwing your resources into.
Yeah, I mean, there is great reward if these lanes do get ahead, particularly because the Senna, once she starts getting ahead of the game, adds on, the way it's described is an extra 0.5 to every play, right? Because of the global, the shield and the heal, the shield and the damage rather. If someone like Cube goes in, it can be very, very big. XiaoHao is the first person towards bot side, has survived the early levels of Vi, is going to be seen heading towards bot lane though. Awkward wave state for OMG. This is going to be pushing away from them. Light and Crisp, you can't exactly hold a wave as Tristana because of the explosive shot, but it does mean that Abel and Ppgod are going to lose a little bit of farm right now.
I want to see what Cube can do on this pick. You can see right now, already building up a little bit of a mana and health advantage. Of course, it is a Cassante. We're not going to assume anything until he gets caught out, but right now, still doing pretty decently into this lane is Cube, and honestly, I would love to see the return of those kind of top laners to the LPL. Like you said, YSKM kind of proving that these champs can be extremely effective, even against some of the best top laners in the world. Someone like Bin up against BLG. And, you know, for the moment, they're happy to let things kind of pay their course, see if they are truly the new standard, or if people will still be sticking with the tanks, because I'll be honest, the tanks are boring. There's very boring picks. Nothing happens for 10, 20 minutes.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I said this as soon as we saw the preseason, that if you're going to go towards the tank meta, you're going to see the game slow down. Look, I went back over off-season. I watched through a load of previous worlds on stream. I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do something different. I watched through season 3 and season 5, and then when I got to season 6, I thought, this is why we don't have tank meta anymore, because it slows down the game, and the game becomes about what can I stop people rather than what can I do myself. And that to me is just such a reductive way to play things. It's one of the reasons I don't particularly like the old iteration of Tahm Kench or the old Lulus, which just shield and heal their way out of every situation. Something like a Camille, even if it was overpowered for a very long time, and don't get me wrong, when Camille jungle was a thing, I hated that too. At least it did stuff, which I do appreciate as a spectator, if not always a mid laner that gets ganked and killed by it.
Let's see, something might happen here. A teleport from the Maokai, which means Ppgod's going to be able to 100% join this alongside Abel. Teleport to the top side here by the Camille as well. Double knockback. Seismic shove is solid. Senna not doing exceptional work right now, but for now, it does look like OMG are very happy with the way the trade went. They're very much in control, especially when you have something like that Destiny Gate from the Twisted Fate to just know if you're needed halfway across the map, you can get there.
Yeah, and so worth noting, this is going to be the Rod of Ages, likely into Lich Bane and Zhonya's. So we'll see if there's a Fire Cannon in there as well at some point. Maybe in pro play, Fire Cannon's valuable. APTF does incredible amounts of damage with one card right now because of the strength of Lich Bane and the amount of AP that you can build up. So watch up to see... LPL is but we'll see how much damage Angel can do in single card shots, especially worth noting that even if he's not Destiny gating into the backline, he walks up with the Senna Shroud up as well. You can get kind of an unexpected angle into fights with the extra move speed and being invisible.
Dragon for Grubs traded. A bit of damage on that bot side as well. A bit of free time given over to Light. They may look for just a straight up dive here onto Ppgod, who is trying his very best to farm up as many of these minions as he possibly can. And using his mana and his CC in the process isn't going to be leading him to a very good spot if he does get dove.
He doesn't have himself a teleport right now, but at least he's safely clearing out the wave. I was wondering if XiaoHao could cut him off at the pass, but wasn't quite able to do so. Problem is now you're splitting map where, for those of you that don't remember, back when we used to have lane swaps back in Season 5, and with turret plates and everything being added into the game much later on as well, the way that was fixed was by making bot lane very, very much weaker than top side, so your cross map has to be so strong to make up for it.
Yeah, they're going to put all 4 members of everyone who wasn't the Maokai up to that top side. Now Xiaohu is caught underneath a turret here, and they're going to be able to juggle that aggro so perfectly. The flashes will have to be expended, but they got 2 kills, and I mean, OMG, they're just bullying Xiaohu in this series.
They absolutely are, but Xiaohu decides to put himself into that situation, and now OMG, they get out from what was a potentially very difficult spot, because you're cross-mapping, as we said, with top bot lane being weaker than top lane in terms of early lane swaps, so you can take down towers there quickly. And then also having Tristana being the one cross-mapping against you, they get away with an awful lot here, but they can force plays very, very easily. That's what we were talking about in regards to tanks versus something like a Camille. You can just jump on people very, very effectively. Xiaohu ends up beating it after this too, as Cube walks in and flashes out great tower aggro juggling from the side of OMG, and they pick up a very important whip.
I was just wondering who had the ghost, because I heard he got up in that last replay. It's actually Abel with the ghost on Senna there, so a little bit of extra mobility. True, yeah. Normally we see something like the cleanse or even sometimes the barrier, depending on what your bot lane is, just so you know, because you're so squishy. But having the ghost, extra chase down ability, curious to see what they do.
Half of me wondered whether it was the spellbook from Angel, and then I was like, oh yeah, Senna's got that one. Yeah. Speaking of ghosts, the mist thingies are not. Are they technically ghosts? I know you read the mod. Did they turn up in the
no, they're not technically ghosts. Do you want me to give you the actual like lore?
Yes, I actually do. So I'm actually quite interested.
What they are is they are a amalgamation of a halfway point between living and dying.
Oh, it's just like
So they're like they can't pass
purgatory kind of
over,
thing.
but they can't ever get out of
right.
the point
So
at which they
like
nearly
restless
died.
souls.
Kind of restless souls, yeah, but
Right.
you're not even dead. Like,
Oh,
yeah, it's weird.
damn.
That's why when you
Weird.
every time you try to kill one, it will literally just come back because it cannot die, nor can it like, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Right.
It's a whole thing.
Huh.
Great book.
That's actually kind of interesting. So I haven't read the book. I really love the Ruin King game, not just because Ari was in it. Well, that was a big part of it, but that was you know. But the Ruin King game was actually fantastic. I really enjoyed that. And I was half wondering when we saw like the Senna Viego locked in. I'm like, Ruin King composition. Can we get a Gwen top lane? Can we get a Gwen? And Lucian was already banned, but you know we've got good going there.
We did. We had we had a lot of it. We could even go Gwen mid sometimes. But
Very true.
Cube is going to get CC'd up here and knocked back. Will get himself ulted twice. There's the Senna ultimate, and the Hextech ultimatum means that Xiao can't kill him off just yet. The Ignite, though, is going to be enough from Chris, who comes in and says, we are getting this kill, regardless of what this Camille does.
Tower dive traded for tower dive a minute or two later. Close run stuff. If XiaoHao had got locked up with the Hextech ultimatum just a little closer, he wouldn't have been able to drop that tower aggro. Still manages to get out, and it's a kill back. Sadly picked up by Chris. Would have been nice to get that into ZDZ's lane, who might just die. Manages to get out just about, and escapes.
Wow, I mean, that's a pretty big moment there for Weibo, just to make sure that the top laner gets out. It does mean that the grubs will go over to the side of OMG, so they get all 6 of those. But, I mean, right now, the way the game is kind of poised, it is only about 1,000 gold lead. Yes, you're getting the grubs, but you're a very, like, short-range composition. So you're not going to get a huge amount of value out of that and the, you know, kind of the earlier stages of this game. So, curious to see what they can or cannot do with this kind of trade of objectives. And they might just go for another dive on this top side because they know ZZ's got no ghost, he's got no ult. He's got no way of defending himself.
An Angel's on the map. He's recalling right now, but he has teleport even if he does want to really, really brute force things. He's got himself the extra cooldown reduction boost too, so the next time he uses his ult is going to be benefiting from that one. Angel getting towards a really big point of power right now, especially once he hits that level 11 mark. Very, very important to watch out what he does with that. OMG continually just saying, look, we will just keep trading bot side for top side. This Malachi, he's going to be dropping bomb, but that's fine. We're going to get all the plates and deny Cassante getting much value out of this lane.
And when you take all 6 of those grubs, it does mean that your turret, you know, those kind of trade-offs are just always going to be so much better for you. As Maokai Ppgod gets himself a nice push in the bot side, going to be able to reset and move in around this dragon potentially. And look at OMG immediately saying, look, we're not going to let those dragons stack just yet. We're going to make sure we're in position to go for this fight potentially around this objective.
And Abel actually looking to just get another tap on that tower, get the DOT coming in, but instead pushing top side, pushing mid lane. Angel's just spellbooked over to Ignite, so he's ready for a fight if it does come to it. Cube would have to get himself a teleport, and there's a great teleport ward just in that red buff. We'll see if that becomes relevant. ZDZ has a teleport
Great
himself.
one by the red buff.
We'll see what they're doing. That red buff ward, let's see if that comes into play.
Yeah, there's a great one just off to the left there. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a ward or if it's a trinket. We'll see whether or not he goes for the TP on this, but for the moment, OMG happy with just forcing Weibo to answer their pressure. Not really going for anything too extraordinary right now, with ZDZ moving back in towards this top side to catch that wave that's been pushed up by
Hume's on vision, and this is going to be a pick.
It's going to be a pick, and he's going to have to use his ult as flash to get out. It's very difficult to really get on top of the Viego. TF ult does come in here. Crisp is a little bit away from his team, and they actually jumped straight onto Angel as they knew exactly where he was. Flash has to be burnt here by Light as he was ignited down. Now can you actually get the rest of the fight going for you? ZDZ brings back in Ppgod, who flashes away. A lot of summoners being burnt right now by everybody, but nobody going down just yet.
I think Angel is very lucky to get away with that one. Having a Tristana jumping on you like that. Very, very dangerous situation. ZDZ still has the all-out running. This is the last of it to potentially threaten Cube, but not to be. So, Weibo, the escape away from the spellbook's power spike of Angel getting that ignite early into the game, and then also just ulting in for one of their first ults in the game too. So they're going to get themselves from that, a dragon, and then it means that particularly with a lot of the ults being down from OMG, their next team fight is going to have a lot less options, but they're still going to try teleport coming in.
Have a Weaver's Wall though, don't forget that. ZDZ is being jumped on right now by the side of Ppgod, who's trying to make a nuisance of himself, and they will take down ZDZ at the end of it all. So OMG building that momentum, pushing forward, knowing that they can get a bit more angles on things and just having more resources available to them.
Yeah, even without their ultimates, they still had Cube's follow-up, they still had the point-and-click CC of both Angel and Ppgod. That ends up being very important. Now, can Light get an inroad to take down this bottom turret? It would be nice to get them get a little bit of that gold, but you got to be careful against something like the Camille. They can follow up on this. I think Light's overstayed now.
Yep, I think he has. Flash is going to be burned down by Cube, but he won't land the CC just yet. They're trying to still burn down on top of Light, but he's got no way out. He pops the explosive ult, but that's about it. I mean, this is just Weibo making mistake after mistake, and it's all individual.
And if it's going to be a carry-on from the first series we saw of the day, it's imprecision. We look towards that big play, but they do have the follow-up of the Weaver's Wall.
They do indeed. They get the flick back there. Going to go in with the ultimate from Crisp as well, and they'll get a kill. Immediately jumping straight onto XiaoFang, but he has the ultimate to keep himself alive. Cube actually goes back in with his
Divine into the fight
shot because he knows he can go and take this fight. They've got the damage, they've got the health bars, and they've got all the kills. OMG, roaring into life. It's like game one didn't even happen.
They've just completely shaken off the dust after game one, left in the ruined wake of their own base so early into that game. But OMG, they pull out a different composition. They pull out something which we haven't seen too much. The Camille coming into meta. The TF, we've seen it in top lane, we've seen it in AD carry, not too many times in mid. Angel pulls it out again though, and they use it to great advantage. So this is after the overstay from Light and bot side. So you don't have the Camille flash, you don't have a lot of ultimates to play around, but Angel manages to get into the fight and make an absolute mess of things again. It's an over-calculation of Weibo that they can get themselves a winning fight very early on into it. Because Angel gets the point-and-click CC alongside Markai, it is so easy for them to combo off of each other. Then you start threatening resets, and then the Viego starts to get taken over at that point too. The resets weren't even the story of that fight, but imagine how it's going to get if one of them comes in later.
OMG, really starting to pick up the pace in this game. 4,000 gold, they got that dragon as well. They will trade back the Rift Herald here, but they're getting complete control around this bot side. They have top and mid pushing in for them. I mean, this is great for OMG. They're really starting to turn a corner in this game, in this series.
But on the other side, Weibo, we said this a lot last year. If we had to describe them in one line, it was consistently inconsistent. This team have had the very best and the very worst, and we've got another fight in the mid lane, which is fizzling out as it stands. The Herald looks to charge.
They look to charge. It will get it, but not exactly ideal situation, man. This is why I said in the Champ Select, I love the Maokai. I love the fact that they can just throw out the ultimate, stop anyone from oncoming, and you're just in a much stronger position. Just nothing you can do as Weibo.
So consistent. It's just so able to throw it forwards and not have to follow up if you don't have to. Camille on the bot side, 1v2, turning into a 2v2.
2v2, and they're going to try and focus in onto XiaoHao, try to take him out. Crisp is here, but they will have the Senna dawning shadow over the top. The buy has gone down. Cube will follow as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but you can see the health bars right now on the side of Weibo are not feeling good, and they may look for a little bit more. They've got a little bit of tank stats to deal with as XiaoFang goes underneath the tower in the Cassante form. Everyone else just kind of backing themselves away. And I mean, like, this is literally OMG starting to look a lot more comfortable. They're looking like they're looking for fights.
And we used to see TF Camille all the time back in the day. It was a season 10, season 9 composition, something like that. Because it's so easy to combo off of each other, to follow up from such long distances. It gets a bit close because it starts as the 1v2, opted into as the 1v2. Cube doesn't land the E, which of course means that you don't get the extra attack speed from the Camille and the extra fighting stats, but Angel follows up soon after. I think it's still maybe a bit of an overestimation in terms of how quickly people can get there. They're lucky that they have the stats to buy this one out, but it's still a little closer than they would have liked to buy.
Oh yeah, for sure, and I think that OMG definitely starting to play a little bit risky, and as we come back to live, Angel gets caught out. That's very lucky, in my opinion, that is not with a Baron timer on the board.
Absolutely, and it's also lucky that Cube is also pushing on the bot side as well, so at least OMG have a semblance of a cross map. What happens here? So he's just farming Krogs and
nice.
Okay. Gets global onto. Turns out both teams have globals. Who would have thought that? Interesting to see what's happening in this bot lane out of turret, whether Cube got any damage onto it. I think he did. He has 6 grubs, so I was just wondering whether the Triforce would have been able to lead to a cross map. Not going to be the case though. With the map being so kind of played across kind of end to end, it means that we've got a lot of vision elsewhere. Angel has a teleport coming up. You need to be very careful around these Weibo, around these respawn timers as Weibo though. Any fight can start at any moment because of how quickly wards have been dropped in random places around the map.
It's getting scrappy. It's getting a little kind of all over the place is Xiaohu. Where have I seen this movie before? And then we'll end up getting stuck. Kicked off by Angel, says, look, I have a global too. And jumps in and absolutely takes him out.
Of course it's him. Of course it's Xiaohu that ends up eating it from that too. Because we were just saying, hey, gotta be careful of these next respawn timers. Everyone's got globals, people have teleports, gotta be really careful. Xiaohu buys the Twisted Fate ultimate, but for what? They don't have a cross map in mind right now. And all that's going to do is lead to OMG opening up this mid lane turret. So Xiaohu, bad death from him.
Really bad death. Not only does it give it mid lane, it also gives them priority over Dragon. The Camille with teleport can stay top. Doesn't have the Hextech ultimatum, but it's already half of the cooldown down. And there's just no vision right now from the side of Weibo here. I mean, Weibo's got to make a decision. They're going for top side, but I mean, it's a Camille. They can hook shot, wall shot out of there, and they've kind of made I know they've made a decision, but they made the really wrong one.
There was a decision made. Yeah, we can agree on that one. Beyond that, we'll return to the drawing board, because Weibo, it feels like they don't quite understand how to play around a lot of what OMG wants to throw at them in regards to the extremely long engage range and how they want to play around the map. There were a couple of moments where they managed to bait in the engage and fight back into okay points, but with so much gold down, and with near enough a fire cannon coming in from Angel, be very, very careful of the next follow-up cards from Angel. They're going to have a huge amount of damage on them, because of course it is still the APTF build. And it was already doing enough. The Xiaohu just bluntly just overstays. He doesn't have his ultimate to port out. Maybe if you can trade ult for ult. Oh, don't tell me he stays for another wave here.
No, I think
oh,
Cube
no, he was recalling.
Cube
okay,
just
all
says,
right.
I know you're recalling. I know you didn't go anywhere
okay,
else.
Fair play.
Yeah, Cube just
That's
called
on Cube, actually. Fair play.
Yeah.
Cube actually gets a good follow-up there. The Xiaohu probably should have kept walking, but still, good read by Cube.
Moral of the story is, you're never safe. Anyway.
Yeah, even you, dear viewer sat behind the screen, if you ever think you're safe out there, Cube's out there.
Cube is waiting.
He's watching.
He's waiting and watching for you. On this Camille, over
He
the
will
wall.
make you terrified of geometry. Like, you thought triangles were bad, you thought that pyramids were bad, wait for cubes.
Oh my lord. But now we're coming into 21.5 minutes. 5,000, about 4,500 gold lead here for OMG. They got themselves their second dragon. Third one won't be spawning for at least another 2 minutes or so. Baron on the field. 2 items finished up for both mid laners. You're still waiting for second items for the side of OMG's bot lane. But big key thing is, with the 6 grubs, you have a Camille on the side lane. You have to have someone on her at all times. If you do not have ZDZ or even Xiaohu just clearing those waves, those turrets become dust.
Also with Angel, with a Lichbane TF as well, I know the ADTF has been a big split push threat. I mean, Lichbane TF was one of the original split pushes. He can do some absolutely insane damage. He just ported the top lane to... I think he just popped the ult to get some vision, ported the top lane to push that wave in, returns back towards mid lane. You can see that Weibo, they're kind of caught between the sticks right now. They don't really have a good option to go to retreat.
I mean, Light already taking a huge chunk and his life is forfeit. Chris tries to flash in with the quickness, but they're so disconnected from Weibo. Look at the cohesion from OMG. They know who their target is. They're ignoring ZDZ. You're not a priority. We don't care about you because we have bigger fish to fry.
Weibo just don't have a safe place to stand. OMG's composition, when they're ahead, when they get vision control and wave control, there is nowhere that they can't hunt you down. Another gold card comes through, it's into a W, but all Angel is doing is just threatening the turret and allowing his team to go towards the Baron. That will be the real death blow in this game. And in this series, Weibo, a team at the top of our standings in a lot of ways. You know, they're not up there at the 6-1 teams, but they're one of our top teams all the same. They're going to get felled by OMG if this carries on.
Yeah, I mean, OMG, we're sitting at 3-4. They will end the first half of the split at 4-4 if they can. They'll actually literally, I do believe, be absolutely equal, because I think they were on -1 game score as well. So they'll be 4-4 plus -0 if they can win this game. But I mean, like, this is just, it just feels like Weibo are just so not on the same page as each other.
Yeah, and it feels like they're not used to playing against, well, the TF I think is a bit different. I think they've been answering the TF a little bit. I don't think they're used to playing against the Camille.
Yeah.
Camille is a champion which can really threaten you for standing in certain corridors and not having vision from not just one wall away, but like 2, because she can fly over 1, flash and ult into another one beyond that too. So it feels like the engage range from OMG, which we already said from the draft, is so terrifying, especially with the Maokai ult on top of it, has just caught Weibo completely unawares.
ZDZ gonna give over a soul over to Abel. I wonder how many souls he's actually on right now. Thank you so much. It was 117. That's not the most I've seen at 23 minutes, to be perfectly honest, but it is still It's
pretty good.
It's still pretty good. And again, just with having the Camille be on the sideline, you need a Weaver's Wall. This is on Xiaohu right now to make this the best play possible. As OMG get a little bit separated, Ppgod is just going to be able to disengage, and there's not really a lot else to say about it. Camille keeps pushing mid, they get the tower on bot. I mean, this is just going to be easy peasy.
Yeah, that was less of a Weaver's Wall and more of the guy that pulls out a guitar at a party and ruins it by playing Wonderwall.
The worst.
And it's just the worst because it does nothing here. You would have rather not seen it. You would have rather something better. And there's the vial. Maybe this will be better.
This might be better, but again, I don't know if they're able to get the damage down. Good flick back there from Xiaohu as Abel gets taken out, but now here comes Cube on the Camille. The Tristan is dead. The Talia's gone as well. Where is your damage, Weibo? I'll tell you where it is. Dead in the gray screen with nothing left to say about it. Crisp getting run down here by Angel, who's going the long way around the Nexus to make sure he can't go back and heal. Camille's ending the game. OMG's Ppgod and XiaoFang are trying to take a little bit of a 2v2 right now. Honor rule, lads, honor rule. Only 2v2s allowed. ZDZ will fall down. The Rakan goes down as well. Xiaohu getting chased down by XiaoFang and will be killed off. That's OMG with the 2-1, and that's going to be a 4-4 scoreline.
Well, they might have to back off because the way they decided the replays happened, the resets happened just in time. So it will be Dragon and a boatload of cash over to the side of OMG, plus honorary arena champions. They win the 2v2v2v2 battle against Weibo. I think particularly Ppgod, loving at what he's doing on the Maokai here. Love to know what augments he picked up. But this is after, of course, the failed Weaver's Wall. They don't have that to kind of corral the fight again. They get on top of the center, but the damage is already kind of done. Gets out a good burst combo. Xiaohu's half HP. Light is in range for a gold card too. They've overextended, and the cleanup is so massive. As soon as you get around to the second hook shot, it's just unplayable. You can see the delight on their faces there as well. It's been a tense moment, I'm sure, a tense series for coaches of both these teams.
And just really want to say like a massive, you know, kind of well done, I suppose, to the OMG backstaff and the players as well. But you come out of that first game after getting absolutely dumpstered like you did. And yes, you could blame draft. Yes, you could blame all these different factors that kind of came into it. But at the end of the day, you were able to reset your team, reset their expectations. And honestly, Game 2 and Game 3 have been all OMG. Weibo really haven't had a look in either of these two games.
They have been known as best of 3 merchants in the past. Lose Game 1, come back in Game 2 and 3. We haven't seen so much of that in this season so far, and we might need to see them overcome a jungle death.
Yeah, well, they're jumping on the XiaoFang, and XiaoFang is still running away from this one here. Gets an extra little bit of shielding, and now you've blown everything. Everything is gone, and now you have nothing left. Even putting XiaoHao right up on top of XiaoFang, and they still can't kill him. This is going to be an easy cleanup, you would imagine, for Cube, Abel, and Angel to just make sure they get absolutely everything. The CC down on the ZDZ. You're not going anywhere, son. We'll go all
Angel's
out
chasing
on the
still.
XiaoFang. Still trying to look for a little bit more, but I mean, Angel's still pushing on the backside of this. OMG really just hitting home that, look, you can use absolutely everything in a perfect engage, and it still doesn't matter. Clean ace, triple kill for Abel, and OMG 2-1, 4-4, 0± game score.
And I have missed this team. Who else out there has missed some of the innovation? Yeah, we've seen the Camille before, we've seen the TF, we've seen the Senna Maokai, but the composition altogether seems like it is one which OMG have really come in with an understanding of. And Weibo came in without an understanding of. There was a bit of an issue there from Weibo in terms of just understanding where they could get engaged on. I think particularly in Game 3, I really look at Light as well as a player who's done so much great work for this team. I had some worries about that Tristana into that composition from the bot lane. I think from mid lane where you get the extra gold, you can push through some side lanes. It's a little bit different. Through that bot lane, it felt like it was really exposed and never got as much work done as they would have liked.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for Weibo right now because they just don't